Chapter 1, Bill's Story. Hello and welcome to our journey through the Big Book. Today we'll be focusing on Chapter 1, Bill's Story. The main purpose of exploring this chapter is to identify with Bill's experiences. As alcoholics, we often fall into the trap of looking for differences rather than similarities. However, the real growth happens when we connect with the shared feelings, thoughts, and experiences described in this story. We'll explore Bill Wilson's journey from despair to recovery, unpack the lessons within his story, and reflect on how his experiences resonate with our own. By the end of this episode, I hope you'll not only see yourself in Bill's story, but also find renewed hope and a deeper connection to the principles of recovery. So let's get started. Introduction to Bill's story. Why do we begin our study of the Big Book with Bill's personal story? The answer is simple: identification. Bill's story is not just about him, it's about us. It's about the shared experience of alcoholism, the drinking, the thinking, the feelings, the struggle, and the hope. This chapter invites us to see ourselves in Bill's journey, to connect with his pain and eventual triumph. His story sets the stage for everything that follows in the Big Book. It's the human element that makes the principles of recovery come alive. In workshops and meetings all over the world, newcomers are asked to highlight passages in Bill's story they relate to. Often we're surprised by how much we share with this man from a different era, class, and background. His words echo our unspoken thoughts, our hidden pain, and our desperate hope for change. Let's break down this chapter into its key elements to better understand why it resonates so deeply. First, what it was like. Bill begins by painting a vivid picture of his life before recovery. We see his early promise and potential, his discovery of alcohol, and the progressive decline that followed. He drank to celebrate, to cope, and eventually because he couldn't stop. This section captures the insanity of alcoholism, knowing it's killing you but continuing to drink anyway. Next, the breaking point. Bill recounts moments of resolve and relapse, where self-will and self-knowledge failed him time and time again. He describes the deep loneliness, despair, and hopelessness that accompany the disease. His life becomes unmanageable, and alcohol is his master. This is where many of us recognize our own story, the place where we've hit bottom and can no longer see a way out. Next, what happened? The turning point comes with the arrival of his friend, Ebby Thatcher. Bill's life changes as he sees someone just as hopeless as himself stand before him, sober and transformed. Ebby introduces Bill to the idea of a power greater than himself and the need for a spiritual solution. This section is the heart of the chapter, where the problem is defined and the seed of recovery is planted. Lastly, what it's like now. The chapter concludes with Bill's spiritual awakening and his journey into recovery. He finds freedom through surrender and a practical program of action. His life is no longer dominated by alcohol. Instead, it's filled with purpose and a deep desire to help others. This section offers hope, a glimpse of what life can be like on the other side of addiction. Bill's first step toward clarity. The chapter opens with Bill sharing a pivotal moment in his life. He set up a promising business deal, determined to stay sober to ensure its success. That evening, however, a bottle of Applejack was passed around the room. The first time he declined, but the second time, his mind convinced him that one little drink wouldn't hurt. He took the drink, and it triggered the allergy. He couldn't stop. The deal fell apart. But what's critical here is what Bill realized next. For the first time, he began to see what alcohol was doing to him. He could finally distinguish between what was real and what was an illusion. Many people call alcoholics weak-willed, but Bill's story reveals a deeper truth. We are not weak-willed. In fact, our willpower is so strong that we almost destroy ourselves trying to control our drinking. Where others might quit after a few bad experiences, we persist, driven by an unrelenting desire to find a way to drink without suffering the consequences. The cycle of self-will and relapse. One of the most heartbreaking elements of Bill's story is the cycle of resolve and relapse. Bill desperately wanted to stop drinking, and he made many promises to his wife, Lois. These promises, inscribed in their family Bible, are a poignant reminder of his sincere intentions. October 20th, 1928. To my beloved wife that has endured so much, let this stand as evidence to you that I have finished with drink forever. November 22nd, 1928. My strength is renewed 1,000-fold in my love for you. I will never drink again. January 1929. To tell you once more that I am finished with it. I love you. September 3rd, 1930. Finally and for a lifetime, thank God for your love. Despite his best efforts, Bill could not stay sober. On Christmas Day in 1930, Lois's mother died. Bill was too drunk to attend the funeral. Lois had to take a job at Macy's, earning $19 a week to support them both. This pattern is familiar to many of us. We make promises, fueled by love, resolve, and even fear, only to break them time and time again. The question is, why? Bill's story provides an answer. He describes 5 pivotal moments when he believed he could control his drinking, only to find himself drunk again. Self-will. I saw I could not take so much as one drink. I was through forever. Blank spot. Shortly afterward, I came home drunk. Where had been my high resolve? I simply didn't know. It hadn't even come to mind. Self-will. I could laugh at the gin mills. Now I had what it takes. Blank spot. One day I walked into a cafe to telephone. In no time, I was beating on the bar asking myself how it happened. Self-knowledge. Surely this was the answer. Blank spot. But it was not, for the frightful day came when I drank once more. These moments illustrate the cunning, baffling, and powerful nature of alcoholism. Even as we recognize the harm alcohol causes, we remain trapped by the illusion that we can control it. The turning point. Ebby's visit. By 1934, Bill was utterly defeated. Alcohol had become his master. Then one day his old drinking buddy, Ebby Thatcher, came to visit. Not drunk, but sober. This visit was impactful for a very specific reason. Bill and Ebby shared a personal history. They weren't just casual acquaintances. They were close friends who had hit rock bottom together on countless occasions. Bill even quips in Bill's story on page 9, recalling a memory just before Ebby's arrival. There was that time we had chartered an airplane to complete a jag. These words highlight their shared chaos and the camaraderie of their drinking days. Bill knew Ebby as a hopeless drunk, just as he saw himself. Now standing before him was a man transformed, sober, composed, and brimming with a message of hope. That stark contrast made Ebby's visit so powerful. If Ebby, of all people, could recover, then perhaps there was hope for Bill too. Ebby shared his story with Bill. His life had been filled with chaos, drunken escapades that included setting fire to his summer house and even running a car into someone's home. He was on the brink of being committed to a state hospital when 2 men from the Oxford group intervened, persuading the judge to release Ebby into their custody. Through the Oxford group, Ebby learned that the solution to their problem was a reliance on a power greater than themselves, coupled with a vital spiritual experience. He explained this to Bill, and for the first time, Bill began to see his problem clearly. He understood what Dr. Silkworth had described, the allergy to alcohol and the mental obsession that made stopping impossible. It wasn't just the message that resonated with Bill, it was the messenger. Seeing someone he deeply related to, someone just as hopeless, stand before him, recovered planted a seed of possibility in Bill's mind. That seed would soon grow into the foundation of his own recovery. For the first time, Bill saw the possibility of change. As we read in pages 9 through 12 of the Big Book, Ebby's visit brought 3 crucial realizations to Bill. The problem. Alcoholism is not just a physical allergy, it's a mental obsession. The solution. A connection with a power greater than ourselves. The program of action. Practical steps to achieve spiritual growth and freedom. But change didn't happen immediately. Bill resisted the spiritual aspect of Ebby's message. It wasn't until his final hospital stay that Bill experienced the transformative spiritual awakening that changed his life. Bill's spiritual awakening. In the hospital, Bill had what he described as a white light experience. He felt an overwhelming presence of God, a power greater than himself. And for the first time, the obsession to drink was lifted. From that moment, Bill stayed sober for the rest of his life. More than that, he committed himself to helping others. His spiritual awakening wasn't just personal, it became the foundation for the 12-step program that has saved millions of lives. Let's pause here and reflect. Bill's story shows us that recovery isn't about willpower or self-knowledge. It's about surrendering to something greater than ourselves and taking practical steps toward change. What's the point of Bill's story? The point of Bill's story is that we cannot fix ourselves. No matter how disciplined or resolute we are in other areas of life, we are powerless over alcohol. The solution lies in surrendering to a power greater than ourselves and following a practical program of action. This power doesn't have to be tied to a specific religion. For some, it's God as they understand him. For others, it's the life force, the energy of love and intelligence that flows through all things. Whatever it is, it's available to you if you ask for it. A prayer to begin. If you're struggling today, whether hungover or sober but in pain, take a moment to connect with that power. You might say something like, I don't know what you are, but I know that I hurt and that I need you. Help me. Please guide me toward goodness and love and light. I will look for you in the depths of my heart. Looking ahead. Next, we'll explore Chapter 2. There is a solution. This chapter builds on Bill's story, laying out the specifics of the problem and the path to recovery. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay willing, stay open, and keep moving forward.